This episode of Tekzilla is sponsored by Microsoft Unified Communications, the United States Air Force, and GoDaddy.com. All right, coming up on this episode, Veronica's guidelines for the best YouTube video ever. We got a roundup of headphone amps and more of your questions that you sent in on video, so we get to see you guys on the screen. All right, sit back, turn off your cell phone, quit staring at Twitter, because Tekzilla starts now. Welcome to Tekzilla. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
We have a great show lined up for you today, but we got one thing we got to talk about first. For those of you trying to access the website last week, revision3.com, Tekzilla.com, the forums, you may have noticed that access was pretty much non-existent. Show sites, forums, everything gone.
Totally gone. It seems we had some issues regarding our site, or more accurately, a third party created massive issues accessing our site. Our crack team of angry IT mavens is working to punish the offending parties
Preferably
involved. They're actually sending Patrick to their house.
I may actually be serving the subpoena I've asked if I could.
Yeah, so we'd like to apologize for any inconvenience you've been having getting to our site and getting our podcast and all that jazz.
Yeah, more details when we have them. Right now, though, yes, we know it was down. We pretty sure we know exactly who is responsible, and we'll be taking care of them. Hey, email questions?
Yes.
I like that thought.
On a lighter note, alrighty, this first email is from Rick, who's shopping for a new PC. He wrote us, I'm ordering a new computer and would like help choosing between a dual-core processor with 3.15 gigahertz and a quad-core with 2.5 gigahertz for even money, the same amount of money. Which scenarios benefit from additional cores over overall processor speed? Rick. The question of which is a better buy. The chip that runs a faster clock on 2 cores or the slower chip with 4 cores that both cost the same? What say you, Pat?
That was dramatic. Okay, we loves us multi-core processors, and more processor cores is always better, right? Maybe. It really depends on what applications you're running. ExtremeTech's Lloyd Case did an awesome roundup of benchmarks. Basically, the article says it all. Does quad core matter? Now, that's extremetech.com. It's good stuff. He went over desktop applications, gaming, content creation, 3D rendering, and the apps that showed dramatic increases, i.e. noticeable increases between 4 cores and 2 cores, are professional 3D rendering applications. 3D Studio Max, Lightwave. They're massively threaded. If memory serves down to the pixel level, they'll essentially chew on as many cores as you can throw at them. Okay. Future-oriented synthetic gaming benchmarks, it means they basically made them to prove how cool extra cores can be. Yeah, they're great, they show an improvement, but that's the future, not the games you're buying and playing today. If you're a heavy multitasker, the extra pair of cores can be useful because your operating system, like Vista, XP, the Linux operating systems, they'll farm out an application to each core so they don't all dogpile on a single core. So you're rendering a CD with that core, and you're compiling code with that core, and you're editing Word with that core. But Veronica, I bet you can guess what comes next.
Well, for most things like web surfing or running Office apps, ripping MP3s, playing HD video, the extra speed is probably going to be more useful for you. Really, you need apps and OS written with 4 or more cores in mind from the very beginning. Right.
Yeah. Short answer version of that, hey, if you're running professional 3D graphics professional 3D graphics rendering applications, you're good. Go with the 4 cores. Other than that, you know what? I get the faster 2-core chip.
I could use faster.
Yes.
Yeah. It's always about the faster for me. It's time now for a message from one of today's sponsors, Microsoft Unified Communications. You can transition to VoIP with a software solution and still get all the benefits of unified communications without having to rip and replace any hardware, like your PBX. Now, not every company knows about this technology, and some IT guys are going to extreme lengths to protect their hardware. Go to pbxprotest.com and check out this video from Microsoft and see how far one man, Dan, is willing to go to prevent his PBX from being ripped and replaced. You've heard people protesting outside corporations. Find out what happens when the protest goes indoors. Welcome to this week's Freebie download pick, a free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. Today's selection, T-versity. Like the malevolent ring in The Lord of the Rings, T-versity aims to be the one source for all your media network devices. Whether you want to share media with a set-top box, internet tablet, video game console, or even a cell phone, T-versity can handle it. If you're worried about formats, no problemo. From AVIs to more elaborate formats like DivX, XFIT, MPEG-4, H.264, Matroska, they're all supported. Of course, you're not just limited to the content you've got loaded on your hard drive. You can also include RSS feeds for video blogs, live streams, YouTube videos, and photo streams like the ones offered by Flickr. Depending on what device you're watching on, the end user interface will appear slightly different. On a Wii, the UI will have an Apple TV feel to it, on an iPhone, a more straightforward approach, and on the Xbox 360, it will integrate with the existing system UI. You can get T-Versity running on a Pentium 3 700 MHz with 128 megabytes of memory, but if you want to serve up HD-size content in real time, you'll need at least a dual-core box with at least a gig of RAM. If you want an inexpensive way of serving up all the delightful content sitting on your PC's hard drive, or just want to watch the latest YouTube phenom from the comfort of your living room couch, give T-Versity a try.
All right, Veronica, you ready for a couple more questions?
I am.
Why did you buy the hoodie with the
Because I was
claws?
stupid, all right? It's one of my life's great regrets.
That's it, huh?
Letting the
I
bear
didn't buy
hoodie slip through my fingers and into the night.
Wow, most people, they've got like divorces,
No.
wreckage,
No, bear
lost
hoodie.
relationship with their children.
hoodie.
Bear hoodie.
Bear hoodie.
We have ourselves a question from Tom regarding headphones and absolutely no questions about bear hoodies. Tom writes in, I own several expensive pairs of headphones and I've been looking for an amp with which to drive them. My main source is my iMac, so I'm looking for an amp with a built-in digital audio converter or DAC. I know that Patrick owns a nice pair of AKG K701s and thought he might know a thing or two about headphone amps. Oh, Tom, I've been waiting for this question for a long time. I also got to own up, the AKG 701s aren't actually mine. They're on loan from the fine folks at Headroom because they're convinced I should find them more better than my current everyday headphones, which are sneaking around here, Beyerdynamics DT770 Pros. This is the 80 ohm version, not the 250 ohm version. I gotta say, the jury's still out on the AKGs. I'm not sure I'm hearing an extra $270. These are $450 headphones over the $180 I paid for the Beyerdynamics, though actually both of these are very, very nice.
I'll take these, thank you.
You like to hold those?
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll hold on to those. All right, Headphone Geek, let's take a minute though to remind everybody you need an excellent source material like losslessly encoded files that would be ideal to really take advantage of audiophile gear. Those MP3s you download in 2001 are going to sound like, well, bad MP3s, and that's not taking into account your music taste at the time.
Yeah, that would be bad. You're going to reveal every digitally encoded flaw. So, an outboard DAC is an excellent start to better audio. Case in point, the spectacular Blackbird PC I've been using recently has weak audio. Well, it's okay, it's kind of a standard gaming audio card, but what it really has is a cheap noise gathering cable that runs from the sound card to the headphone jack, so not so good for a $3,500 PC.
Not so much.
I want at least a shielded cable. Now, you're very unlikely to find a DAC. That's actually, we should point out, a digital to analog converter built into a headphone amp, though you'll often find headphone amps built into less expensive DACs or external sound cards, and both of which are a great start. What does that mean? Most audiophiles want separate components to keep crossover noise, whatever, more stuff to stack up on their desks,
I like
you know.
stuff.
Like stuff?
I like a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Thanks.
So less expensive DACs like my Stereo Link here actually have a headphone jack and a low-cost headphone amplifier built in. Now, more expensive DACs like this delightful $399 Headroom Micro DAC, which is this one, rely on an external headphone amp like the Headroom Micro Amp, which is also $400. Now, matter of fact, adding a headphone amp to even an iPod can make a pretty big difference, especially in low-end audio, especially if you have demanding headphones like those AKGs, say, high-end Gradios, the 250 ohm version of the DT770 Pros, my Etymotics. The big question is, can you hear the difference? I've been using an older Headroom amp for years, plugged into this very Stereo Link, and it's very, very good. The combo kicks the snot out of almost any audio card I've ever plugged my headphones into. Now, for $800, or I should say for $400, the Headroom Micro DAC does a couple of really cool things. The Stereo Link accepts input basically from a Mac or PC. It accepts a USB audio input, and you can see that right back there. If you go to the Headroom, it not only accepts, first of all, it's got a much higher grade power source, but it also accepts an optical input, a coaxial input, basically for if you have a really nice CD player transport, or the USB audio input from your Mac or PC. I've used it in Windows, Vista, and XP, and OS X, and it seems to work quite marvelously with all of those.
So am I like selling myself short because I don't have a headphone amp connected to my laptop? Because I have the Logitech, I think the Z100, the 2.1 system.
Right.
And it sounds pretty good to me, but I don't know, does that have any kind of amplification built into it? Probably, right?
Well, before I get a round of emails basically, so Patrick Dorton says everything it sells for under $800 sucks and you have to spend like $1,000 to really enjoy music. No. A lot of my standard for listening was set by the blown out, jacked up JBL studio monitors, or like stereo monitors that were at CBGB's. Just beat the shit 20-year-old speakers. I'm so punk. Well, but what I'm saying though is like, I have some of my favorite experiences involving music involved in AM radio and a beat the snot truck, right? So, you know, if you're not hearing a big difference, you don't need to start spending a lot of money. However, if you can hear a big difference, I mean, you were listening to the Ray Charles stuff here before, right? So you start hearing things like the details of the echo of the room. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name. The pianist, Bach. Not Harry Connick Jr. And do not ever say Harry Connick Jr. in my ears again, or I'll beat you with a stick. I'm trying to think of the guy's name, but you can actually start hearing. He used to hum while he was playing piano pieces.
And you can hear him humming.
You can hear him humming.
Oh, that's cool.
You get more details in the music. You get more sense of the room. One of the nice things about the Headroom amps is they have an idea of they used to call it the process. Now they call it a little bit simpler. They call it crossfeed. And what they've done is designed an effect because when you hear from headphones, you hear the right and the left channel at the same time. When you're hearing from external sources, there's actually about a 300 millisecond delay for everything from the right side to reach the left ear, and everything from the left side. You're the one with the audio engineering degree. It's good to hear that you're agreeing. It makes me happy. And so when the processing's turned on,
are the sound hitting off a wall within 20 milliseconds of it hitting the original object and hitting your ear.
It's really amazing, right? The whole idea of like psychoacoustics, which sounds really goofy. Most processing I cannot stand because most processing to me degrades the original recording. What this is doing is kind of opening up the soundstage. So instead of the soundstage being kind of in the middle of your head, it feels more like it would if you were listening to two well set up stereo speakers. Now, I gotta say, I've also had really good results with the DIY, they call it the Chumoy app. It was made really popular at headwise.com. It's an excellent DIY audio site. If you've never been there, go there. A little soldering, like $10 or $20 in parts, and Altoid cases.
Oh, that's the one that goes in the Altoid case. Oh yeah, I've seen that on Make.
It's really good and it's really easy. We should actually build one.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be really fun. Head-fi.org is another site for headphone enthusiasts. I'm pretty sure they turned me on to the M3 project. Now this is a significantly more sophisticated DIY headphone amp about which Till Hertzens, the guru at headroom.com, the guy that built those $400 toys here, said, quote, they're building stuff that sounds so good that it makes me have to keep coming up with better sounding products or I'll be left in the dust. That's a pretty serious endorsement. Now, while we're on the subject, there's a really cool DIY USB DAC kit, so you can actually create your own USB DAC from Glassjar Audio that's gotten rave reviews. It's basically a community design project. Glassjar Audio puts together the kits so you can have all the parts in one place. Let us know if you want us to build one on the show.
Oh, that's like open source audio.
It's a really cool concept. Actually, apparently Chu, the guy that designed the headphone amp and had a big part in designing the Alien DAC, is in the Bay Area, so we're hoping to get to talk to him at some point.
All right, well, before we go on, we'd like to thank one of our sponsors, GoDaddy.com. If you want to make an impact online, do it with GoDaddy.com. .com names as low as $1.99, plus world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and much more. And keep personal information away from spammers, hackers, and your crazy ex-roommate or ex-boyfriend. Private domain registration from GoDaddy.com protects your privacy by keeping your address, phone number, and more out of the public database. Plus, enter code TEK2, T-E-K-2, when you check out and save an additional $5 off any order of $30. Some restrictions apply. See site for details and get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com. Support us by supporting them.
Looks like it's time for another website we just can't get enough of, a website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. Today's pick, will it blend? Since the time man first learned to con other man into buying crap they didn't need, the art and science of marketing has grown exponentially. In fact, it has evolved to such an extent that today it's actually a form of entertainment. Object lesson, case in point, will it blend? With such amazing blending episodes like Wii Remote, Rubik's Cube, Hockey Pucks, and Makeup Smoothie, marketing and high art have truly become as one. Every episode has Tom Dickinson, the host, start the show with a little explanation for what he's about to blend, and then he blends it. If it makes it through, it gets a yes, it blends flash right on the screen. Wow. Fortunately, most do, and the appeal of watching something get trashed in a blender, it can't be overstated. With 72 episodes under its belt, Will It Blend has 37 more episodes on file than Tekzilla has. And that's if we count this one. so they must be doing something right. And while the show is, well, it's just a clever campaign to sell Blendtec blenders, it's a great and frankly a cheap way to live out your inner 8-year-old's destructive urges and watch everything from lighters to tiki torches get sliced, diced, and blended. Imagine, kids, what it can do to ordinary, everyday fruit.
All right, are you ready for some? Where are you going?
I'm just having trouble
You're
standing.
falling over? Jeez.
Earthquake!
Whoa! You ready for some more questions?
Yes, actually.
All right.
Not only time for more questions, we actually have a great video question from Janet.
Hi Veronica and Patrick, my name is Janet. I recently purchased a MacBook running Leopard. Previously I was a PC user. My question is, what would be the equivalent of a disk defrag and disk cleanup on Leopard? Thanks.
Welcome to the light side, my dear. But, you know, I have to say, one of the things I do miss about having a PC is just sitting back and relaxing and watching the disk defragmenter go and see all the little colors put in their special places. It's kind of soothing, right?
I don't know. I run usually.
You're not feeling that?
I Disk Keeper overnight. There's actually a really cool open source tool. I like it to run at 4 in the morning when I'm not on the machine, because if I want to do that, I'm going to burn a Yule log and watch the flames.
A Yule log. A
A
little
Yule
off
log.
season.
Sorry. Anyhow, we've actually been having a crazy conversation on Twitter, or had, I should say, about defragging on OS X, and there are some violently varying opinions.
Oh, speaking of violence and Twitter. So John C. Dvorak, I just have to do this little aside here because it's starting to drive me nuts. John C. Dvorak of Cranky Geeks.
That'd be the
a
real
friend to us
Dvorak
all,
on Twitter.
The real Dvorak, at the real Dvorak on Twitter. He is trying, for some reason, to unseat me in my Twitter standings. I don't know why he's coming after me personally, but he's making attacks and he's trying to beat me.
Because he's never going to catch up to Leo Laporte
Yeah,
or Kevin
frickin' Mr.
Rose.
Twitter come lately here, joined like 3 months ago, and I've been working at it since launch. And he's getting close. He's got like 20,000 followers now.
Really?
And I don't usually make a big deal about followers, but he's talking the talk. And in this case, if you guys aren't on Twitter yet, you have to sign up and add me and not add John. The end. That's all I have to say.
Actually, you can add John, just make sure you add her first, because you'll end up with more
there
of
you
them.
go. All right, just add me first.
And if you're on Twitter and enjoying it, you could actually add twitter.com/Patrick Norton too while you're there. Twitter, by the way, in case you're all wondering why you should care about this, is the new crack here in San Francisco.
It's a social networking, or it depends on how you look at it. But we're digressing. So
You'll
continue.
enjoy it.
You're having an argument on Twitter.
So basically, if you mostly work with files under 20 megabytes, in theory, OS X automatically defrags them. There's no problem. It lays that. It takes care of it in the background. No worries. It's all good. If you're working with huge files, some people say they see an improvement with a third-party defragmentation tool. Some people have done some benchmarks and say they can prove that there's no improvement. In fact, there may be some badness from slowing down from a third-party defragmentation tool.
Hey, maybe it's like a placebo. Maybe if it makes you feel better, run a third-party disk defragmenter.
Yeah, because in Windows you'd run it and things would definitely physically, noticeably run faster.
I did try an app one time called Cocktail.
Cocktail.
And Cocktail did a pretty good job of speeding things up on my Mac a bit.
Okay.
Or you can, it's not going to help things too much probably, but you can, if you feel like things are going a little sluggishly, repair permissions under disk utility, under first aid.
You're braver than I am.
Why is that brave?
I'm just afraid of the first aid utilities. Probably because I remember what would happen if you used the first aid utilities in OS 7.5.
Okay, well if you don't go in there and start like partitioning all your drives without understanding what you're doing, that could be a problem, but I don't think that repairing your permissions or verifying your permissions is going to do anything bad.
Probably not. I'm just scared
you're so
of that.
paranoid.
I am.
Whatever.
And I'm not scared. I'm not paranoid in this case. I'm actually downright afraid. And you know what? There's no reason to be afraid. There isn't.
Reason. No.
I'm just being irrational. Before we go on, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors that makes this episode possible. Remember, without our sponsors, you cannot have your weekly Tekzilla fix. So do us a favor and check out this message from the United States Air Force. We got like video questions in.
We got like a billion gazillion video questions.
This is good.
Yes, this is one. And this one's kind of meta.
Meta?
Because it's a meta. Because it's a YouTube question about YouTube videos. So take it away, Chad.
Hey guys, my question is about YouTube. What is the best compression to use for YouTube videos? I thought I used to know back when they didn't do high-quality videos, but now I have no idea. Thank you so much.
Well, good question, and also very good for our listeners because they are sending in a lot of YouTube videos lately.
Woohoo!
It's very helpful. Exactly. So many video editing programs these days have YouTube encoding presets built right in. And as we mentioned last week, some cameras now have those presets too, so you don't even have to worry about it.
They may be the old settings, though.
They may be the old settings, right? Because things change on this internet pretty quickly.
But your application or your camera may be old.
It may not. But if you're still not happy with the results, or if you're looking for the higher quality settings for the new better quality view that shows up in the bottom, you know, there's a screen and there's a little, you can change it to higher quality. Here's what you can do. YouTube's most recent recommended settings are as follows: MPEG-4 DivX or XVID format, 640 by 480 resolution, 64K mono or 128K stereo MP3 audio, and 30 frames per second. You can actually do as low as 24 frames per second, but 30K is more. I mean, 30 frames is just more better good.
I'd go for the 30 frames per second, and you know what? Send them the extra audio. Basically, send them 128K on the audio because it's shocking how much a little bit of extra oomph on the audio will make towards the sort of wonderfulness. It just spend more.
Chutzpah.
Yeah, I like that thought.
Chutzpah.
Funny, shiksa, mishugana. Anyhow, these settings will also work for the high quality video option. Our biggest tip is to make sure not to upload at 320 by 240. No, 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 no. Upload 640 by 480. If you send them 320 by 240, YouTube will upscale the video and it will turn out looking pretty pixelated. It'll look bad, awful, icky.
It's like when you watch a video on on a DVD and put it on a bigger screen or your computer monitor, and suddenly it's all like, and you see all the
big blocks of
squares,
crud.
and they're pretty hideous looking.
All right, we got another question, a regular old email question from Chad. It's a different Chad. He writes in, I'm looking for a good and affordable home theater universal remote. He likes to look at the Logitech Harmony remotes, but he's got a problem. He uses his PS3 as his Blu-ray player, and he doesn't know of any remotes other than Sony's that are Bluetooth capable. Yes. He says he can't really justify anything over $300. If you can help, I would be grateful. I would also like your opinion on the best, regardless of price, home theater remote so I can at least dream big. Okay, great question, Chad. There is one PS3 controller, but it's hardly the caliber of the Logitech Universal Remote. It's from Nyko. You can see it on your screen right now. Keep moving. Now, there are adapters, because basically there are no universal remotes that we know of. If there are, and they're not like $45,000 custom installer setups that are, you know, basically third-party billion-dollar setups, go to ir2bt.com. I think it's like 50 or 70 bucks, and it's essentially an adapter that goes from the output on the Logitech.
So IR to Bluetooth?
Yeah, essentially it's IR to Bluetooth. So it adapts a regular universal remote to something that your PS3 can speak.
That's kind of cool.
That is really cool. We haven't used it, but we haven't heard anything negative about it, which is a pretty good sign.
I have the Bluetooth remote for the PS3, and I always try to change it, and I get mad, like if someone gets in the way, and I'm like, move, I can't reach the thing, and they're like, it's Bluetooth, you don't need to aim it, it's not an IR port, like you're fine. I'm like, oh yeah.
It's a really weird decision to use Bluetooth as Bluetooth as a remote control. I don't understand it, I don't care for it, it's kind of annoying.
I think it's kind of neat.
Really?
Except for the fact that you can't use other remotes with it. Really.
Yeah, because like everything else on the planet, whether it's or almost everything else on the planet, you could use a universal remote. I like Logitech's Harmonies. Pretty much anything that has the shiny pictures on it are cool. The top of the line one, which is I think the 1000, I'm not so happy
Harmony?
with. Yeah.
Well, there's the
one that's like the big square one.
Oh, that one. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Don't
and
buy that one.
There's the Harmony 1, which
Harmony
is the brand
one's
new
very,
one.
very good.
So yeah, any of the Harmony lines are really pretty
Just
sweet.
not the one that's like, basically any of the ones that's shaped like a stick, the one that's shaped like a little panel.
Right.
It sings while it charges.
It sings?
Well, it has a high-pitched hum and it's not going away.
That doesn't sound like a plus side. That sounds like a downside.
I mean, it's kind of cool. I thought it would be pretty. The interface is actually really good. I thought it would be really, really hard to use.
Yeah, I played with it.
Flat
Actually, you know what? I did like it. Didn't find the interface that intuitive.
Once you get used to it.
Yeah, that's the one that has the little.
It's got a big like 4-inch
on
LED, and then there's a scroll pad on the side and the volume buttons on the side. Once you've used it for a while, it gets fairly easy. But initially, you're kind of like, okay, because it basically. You get used to like a remote control for your DirecTV or for your DVD player.
It kind of reminds me of a Sonos, the controller for the Sonos. a little bit. You hold it in 2 hands, and you got the scrolly thing on the side.
Yeah, see, I got to the point where I can
Yeah.
use it with like one hand and my thumb.
Well, you have very big hands.
This is true.
So
You do not.
there's that. Yeah.
Go for it. I like the Logitech Harmony. It's probably the Harmony one at this
But they're
point.
not Bluetooth capable, so you might have to buy that thing.
But you get the adapter.
That's true. That's what I just said. Get the thing.
Sorry.
That thing I sent you.
That thing. Speaking of that thing, for all of you watching this thing, we live on your questions. Do us a favor, email us, Tekzilla@revision3.com. Tech L product reviews, how-tos, you ask us, we'll deliver it for you, but we need those emails, so don't be shy. Where do we send them?
You send them into Tekzilla@revision3.com. And as always, you know, when they're up, you can visit our forums at revision3.com/forum.
When they're not being assaulted by deviant
Assaulted.
third parties. Plus, previous episodes of Tekzilla are waiting patiently to be watched by you at revision3.com/Tekzilla. And of course, there's more details about us, about the show, and about everything you saw on this show right on the website.
Very true. And before we go, we're conducting that survey still to get some additional information about our viewers. We would love your feedback. So if you have a few minutes, please go to revision3.com/tech2, TEK and the number 2, and take the survey. Thanks so much. It'll really help us out. Please.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Until the next time, you've been watching Tekzilla. Looks like it's time for another website we just can't get enough of, a website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. We got more video questions?
Oakley dokley. What? That didn't make sense.
Object lesson, the ever-popular Will It Blend. It's been around for a while, but with such amazing blending episodes like Wii Remote, Rubik's Cube, Hockey Pucks, and Makeup Smoothie, marketing and high art have truly become one.
You know, for that new, better quality view that they've
Right.
got in the corner down
Because
there.
YouTube sucks
Right.
less than it used to.
It sucks a little less, that is true. But so here's their most recent settings. Here's what you can do. YouTube's most 3, 2.
3, 2, all right, we got an E. 3, 2. You were at the battle. 3, 2. Object lesson, case in point, Will It Blend? With such amazing blending episodes like Wii Remote, Rubik's Cube, Hockey Pucks, and Makeup Smoothie, marketing and high art have truly become as one. Every episode has Tom Dickinson, the host, start the show with a little explanation for what he's about to blend, and then he blends it. If it makes it through, it gets a "Yes, it blends" flash right on the screen.
Cool.
Probably have a much